Hey, this is Charles and Z. It's been a long day. We've got the kids to bed,
Yes.
and we're going to do our best to make a video for you guys tonight.
Now, we thought it'd be
Okay,
interesting for us to do a little bit of an interview style where Charles kind of
correct.
asked me a few questions about the challenges that I faced in regards to, you know, learning or, motherhood in that regards, challenges faced on having, being Black myself and my bonus babies. I hate the term stepchildren and them being, Caucasian, being white, which is what they are. So just kind of us merging and creating a family together. We thought it'd be a great idea to kind of probe me and what are some of the challenges that I've worked through or that I am still working through.
Exactly.
Exactly. Okay. What's your
Okay.
first question, my love?
Okay, so here's my first question for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
So, when we first met, when we were on our online dating, when we
Yeah.
first met, and you saw or I told you that I had two children, what was your first thought?
Prior to meeting you online, I had a policy that I was not dating anyone with children. I had no children, and my thought process was that, you know, individuals that have children or guys that have children are going to come with baby mama drama, right? So when I first met you, you're very upfront. You're very honest, which I appreciate. I have two children, and my wife recently passed away. So it was a lot, right? I think in my mind, I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't proceed with this. But we had great conversation, and I actually did appreciate his honesty. So actually, a little bit against my better judgment at that time, or I shouldn't say better judgment, but against my policy at that time, I wanted to talk to you more, to get to know you a little bit more.
Now, you had dated white guys before, right?
Oh yeah, I've dated from all walks of life, right? Yes.
Okay. Had you dated guys with kids before?
I did. And I think that's where I was a bit scarred from that. Many years before you, I dated someone with a child and it just was not a great experience. So I wanted someone who, so to speak, was on at my level, so to speak, right? Meaning just no kids. We would create a family together.
When you decided to come into the situation to actually meet the children for the first time,
Yes.
what what were you feeling? Let me back up and give a little background.
Yeah.
It was I think it was of
31st, it was Halloween.
October 31st of 2020.
Yes.
There was a little farm, like a
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
with hay rides and
yeah, yeah.
pumpkins and stuff like that. Something that the kind of thing you take kids to,
Like a fall
in the
festival,
fall.
pumpkin patch and things like that,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so at this time, Z lived about an hour and a half away from where we lived.
Yeah.
And there was this place that was kind of like right in between. And so I called her up it was Saturday or Sunday, and I said, hey, I'm going to take the kids to this. Would you come to this and meet my kids? And at first you said,
I said no, but not because of the kiddos. If you know me, I do not enjoy driving. I am a passenger princess, so to speak. And this place was, at that time, I never even, I don't think I visited your house at the time,
no,
right? So
no.
this was me going in, for me, the middle of nowhere out in the boonies, driving like an hour and a half. And so I was like, no, not gonna happen. It wasn't even the kiddos, I think, that made me anxious for that trip. But I mean, once I got past anxiety of driving out there, yes. On the drive there, I started thinking about, will the kiddos like me? I was also meeting your dad for the first time.
Yeah.
So all of that I think made me, as anyone would be, a little anxious. Yeah.
But you made yourself get out of your comfort zone and you actually came out and did
I
that.
did. I did. That's an important lesson in life, right? To get out of your comfort zone. Trust your instincts, but also know the difference between your instincts and just fear in itself.
Okay, so tell me what were your thoughts about stepping into the role, the mom role, with a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old?
Okay, good question. I think the initial challenge that I had, many challenges, I think for anyone, but I took to heart the kids' reaction with me. And by that I mean, I'm new to them. And at the time, as you explained, I lived an hour and a half away. So when I first initially met the children, they started to see me maybe once a week at
Mhm.
that time. And so naturally at that age, they want to hold daddy's hand. You are their familiar person, right? You're the
Right.
person they saw day in and day out. They would cry if I picked them up or, all these things. And I took it to heart as if, maybe they disliked me. And it took a while, I'm not gonna lie. You know that I kind of
Yeah.
would sometimes tell you, maybe they don't like me. Am I doing something wrong? What am I? And so I think I beat myself up in regards to that. And I had to learn that it takes time, right? Just like adults, but kids especially at that age, it takes time for them to, build that trust with you, build that comfort level with you. And so I think that was my initial challenge. And then just learning the day to day. Like it was a crash course in motherhood,
Mhm.
right? When you're pregnant, you start prepping for that. You're able to birth your child and nurture and kind of learn the mannerisms of your child. I had to learn the mannerisms and what they liked, what they disliked very quickly for 2 and 3 year olds.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that was the initial challenges that I had.
What was the additional challenge that you see with the fact that they were children of a different race?
Yes. So no one's called me the babysitter, right? I'm glad about that in that regards. But I think for all of us, it's been, or for you and I, it's been a little bit of a challenge in how would they refer to me? Meaning, would they call me, you know, Mama Z? Would they just say Z? Would they say mommy? You know, navigating that I think was a bit difficult, but I think I'm at the space and the kiddos who are now 6 and 7 are very aware that I'm not their biological or birth mother, right? And I think it's even more apparent because we're two different complexions. I'm
Mm.
chocolatey, and they are vanilla, little vanilla, drops. And so it's very apparent in the physical aspect. And of course, we're very open with them, that they have a birth mother who loved them and that I'm the next mother like figure. And the kiddos call me Z, right? And I have no problem with that. We just kind of let them naturally, what's the word? We kind of let them naturally
Figure it out.
figure it out
Yeah.
themselves because I had a lot of input. They should call you mom. They should call you mommy.
Yeah.
And I think the difficulty with that was not really difficulty, but the thing is that their maternal grandparents are still very active in their lives. You know, we have a great relationship, as far as with their maternal grandparents. And they still talk about, the kiddo's biological mom and birth mom,
Yeah.
which we're quite fine with. So I didn't want it to be a confusing thing for them, right? Where, you know, I'm mommy, but there's also birth mommy. I didn't want that confusion for them at a young age. So Z was the term or the name that they referred to me, and I'm fine with that. I still take on that mother like role for them. But it took time for me to kind of figure out what that role was because for a long time I'm like, do I just jump in into like the mother role and discipline and things like that? And it's a very unique, anyone who's in that bonus mom position knows it's a very unique position that comes with challenges, right? Because yes, you're mom, but you're also supporting your spouse too, right? So I remember there was one time where I forgot our son, right? Our older child who's 7, he did something and I think I reprimanded him and he started crying and then I realized probably not the best thing to do, right? At that time, I was living an hour away. And so he was only seeing me once a week. And so I have to understand what his level of trust and comfort was with me. So figuring out kind of where my role was, I
Mhm.
think was a little bit difficult. As far as the white and black aspect, I think it just I don't know if it's really been a challenge in that regards. It just for them, I think the kiddos made it really apparent that I have no biological or DNA kind of relation to them, which I think was fine.